Hey guys, this video is going to go on our Myths About Japan playlist for reasons that will become obvious later. Some of you would have seen this video I made recently showing these idol and their fans lining up to take their photos. We're just about finished filming, we'd panned back, just about turned the camera off, and this dude here started crossing his arms and waving his arms around. Now he's just a punter, he's lined up there to take a photo of the girls, he's paid his money, he's got his ticket. He's lined up waiting to take photos of the girls and get their autographs, right? So he's waving his arms and he's jumping up and down and he's trying to get the attention of the staff to tell them that I was there taking this video. And they were ignoring him, basically. So he gave up and came over. So if you can try and follow this conversation, it goes on for a couple of minutes, and at the end we'll have a little chat about it. Here it comes.
Without buying bromide.
Really?
Yes.
How are they going to enforce that? This is a public area. It's a public place. I can take a photo.
In this event, live performance.
It's not performance. They're standing there.
They performance do they had performance to at corner stage.
Yeah, they're not doing that. They're standing here. This is the back of their head.
In Japan.
Yeah, we're in Japan.
In Japan.
Yeah. Wait, honey.
Taking a photo is very difficult problem.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. There's no law. I can take a photo of the back of their head. There's no law. What's the law?
We cannot take a photo at the backside.
Yeah, we can.
In Japan.
No, we can. We can. There's no law. There's no law. We can take a photo of the back of their head. Yes, we can.
Yeah, staff announced.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Staff can say anything. The law says we can take a photo of the back of their head. Okay? We can.
Sorry, my English is.
No, your English is all right. Your English is right. Your English is okay, but you're wrong. There's no law that says we can't take a photo of the back of someone's head. Okay? There's no law. What law? Tell me the name of the law. What is the rule? What is the law?
No rules.
Yeah.
Many people take a photo.
What's the law? What law?
Rule.
Yeah, what law? Tell me. Tell me the law.
We can. Only buyer.
No, bullshit. No. No, 違う。犯罪はない。ね、law はない。Okay? Okay? Okay? I can take a photo of the back of their head now. Okay? I can take a photo of the back of their head. It's okay. There's no rule. There's no law. Okay?
Not law.
Yeah, not law. That's right. Exactly. So. Ja, awari.
Japanese law.
So there it was. Just want to clarify a couple of things just from the start. First one is, usually in Japan, if somebody comes up doing the cross arm thing, which is if you're doing something that's not normally done here, they'll do that to you. Come up with this thing, which can actually be quite in your face if you're not used to it, but up they come with this. And sometimes if they see you're a foreigner, they'll say, no, 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 which must piss our Russian friends off while they speak in English. But they do that. If you're a foreigner, you're doing something you're not supposed to quite often, no, 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 no. They will actually do the cross arm thing to each other, of course, to each other as well, of course. So it's not just for us, you know. So they will come up and do that to each other as well, you know. Tell somebody that they're not allowed to do something. So that's not uncommon. And usually, to maintain the harmony, if someone does that to me, I go with it. So if they can't go, you know, no, 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 I say, okay. And in that case, I'd actually already got my footage because there wasn't much footage to get. All that we really wanted to show you was the girls on one side of the table and the guys on the other side of the table. So I'd sort of already got my footage and noticed towards the end that he was standing there doing his cross arm thing. So I was aware of it, that he was doing it, and just sort of ignored it, finished my filming. Still had the camera. Now, just to clarify right at the start, the camera's not super big, but it is red, and it is on a mini tripod. So the whole thing is actually quite visible, you know. So of course, usually anybody did the no, no, no thing, usually I would just go, okay, okay, because to maintain the harmony, right? Now, there was just a couple of different things in this occasion. One was that there was no adult Japanese people with me. So if there was a Japanese family member, adult family member with me, or a Japanese friend with me, then definitely I would go with the flow. As is always said on those how to do stuff in Japan videos, you know, you don't want to upset the harmony, and particularly if you're with other people, because you'll embarrass them. So in that case, definitely if there was some adult friends or adult family members, Japanese adult friends or family members with me, I definitely would have just gone with it and not said anything. But in this case, there was no adult Japanese family members with me. We were waiting. I was waiting with a child, and it was going to be another 20 minutes before they turned up, so I had lots of free time. So that added to it. And the other thing was that he came up speaking English. Now, just clarifying, that guy was just a punter. He was just in the line to get to the front of the line and take a photo of the young girl and get the autograph and stuff. He wasn't staff. He was just a worker, and so he was just telling me now. So the fact that he came up speaking English, and that does happen in Japan, they see you're a foreigner, they automatically assume, often, not always, but they often assume that you must be a visitor, you must be a tourist, you know, and they often assume too you can't speak Japanese. So he came up speaking English, which was just sort of like, well, I've got 20 minutes to kill, right? And I've got the camera in my hand. So as he came up, I reached down and turned it back on again, and that's what you saw from then on. And then when we got to the end, and he actually, I'll get to the point in a minute, but he got to the point where he was saying, no, there isn't a law, and I said, right, end of story, see you later. And I thought that was going to be the end of it, but I made the mistake at the end of saying some Japanese stuff, which sort of wasn't the plan. It slipped out. The plan was to get to the end of the conversation using only English. One was because I didn't have to subtitle it. It was in the back of my mind, this is great. The viewers are going to be able to watch this and understand it. We don't have to subtitle it, because subtitling takes forever, you know. So I was like, oh, perfect, perfect. But at the end, some Japanese slipped out, and as I turned the camera off and put it back in the bag, as I put it back in the bag, he said, you speak Japanese? In Japanese. And I said, yeah, a little bit. And then we proceeded to have another, exactly the same conversation, really, in Japanese, which was exactly the same points, right? So what he was saying was you can't take video of these girls. And you heard what I was saying. Oh, yes, you can, right? And no, you can't. And the staff said that you can't, is what he said to me. The staff said you can't. Now, I've actually been at some other events and made videos previously of idol groups and the guys waiting to see them. 2 or 3 other videos like that are on our channel. And on those occasions too, on one of those occasions at least, there was a staff member running around. Now again, that guy wasn't a staff member, but there was a staff member from the company that owned the girls running around telling us that we can't use our cameras, right? And that poor guy was having a hell of a time because it was a public place, just same as this was too. This was a city festival, right? Those of you have probably already seen the festival video. So it was a city festival, and there was, you know, everyone was there, and it's a big public place. And interestingly too, the TV cameras were there, and they were set up, and they were filming everybody. They were actually up on a platform, and they were filming everybody that passed through the place, right? And so you know, he was telling me, you can't film them, and I was, as you heard, and then he's saying the staff said you can't film them, and of course, the staff want people to pay money to film the girls, but the point was, what he was missing was, I wasn't after footage of the girls. I was more interested in the footage of the guys, because to me that was the story. You know, the back of the idols. You know, once you've seen one idol group, you've seen them all. They're all the same. But that wasn't the story. The story was the dudes. You know, so it's the dudes I was getting. And ironically too, if anyone, now 10 years, a few people have commented about videoing in public, and I've never responded to it, right? And a couple of people have been quite, oh, that's breaking the law and all this sort of stuff. Now that's why this is on our myths playlist. So in the past, occasionally, someone like him has come up and said, I don't want to be videoed. Anyone has ever said that, we have not. If we've already shot video that's included them in it, we haven't included that footage in our finished video that we put on YouTube. So nobody who has ever said they don't want to be in a video has ever been put on YouTube, right? That's just common decency, right? There is also civil law in Japan that says that if someone doesn't want to be in a video that's shown publicly, that you have to remove them. And if you don't, then they can take civil action. It's not police action, civil action against you, and recover money from you for damages, right? So it never gets that far. In 10 years of videos and almost 4,000 videos that we've taken, not once has anyone that's been in any of our videos ever complained. We've had other people complain that we've shown faces. Japanese people will often get upset if we show people doing something embarrassing or something illegal. They will often not, with people driving cars illegally, for example. We've had a few times we've shown people using phones, driving cars and things like that. And instead of the Japanese people saying, oh, that's bad, they shouldn't do that, that's dangerous, some of the Japanese people have said, you shouldn't show their faces. So they were more concerned about us showing their faces. Now, just to clarify, this is, the civil law says if someone doesn't want to be filmed, that you shouldn't film them, and that if you film someone against their wishes and make it public, that they can sue you, right? But having said that, they ask you to take down, but having said that, the reality is that although we do see Japanese TV, sometimes they mosaic faces and they mosaic number plates of cars and things like that, but that's just mana, right? And in our Japanese conversation, he finally got around to that. It's mana, right? And I said, yeah, I know it's mana. And because the cat was out of the bag by then, once I start speaking Japanese to him, he realised that I did live here and I did know about it. And then I was telling him, it is mana. It's Japanese people call it mana, but really what it is, it's custom, or it's common practice, or it's manners or polite, considered polite, and all that sort of stuff. So I agreed with him. I said, yeah, look, sure. If and funnily, if he'd said he didn't want to be in the video, I wouldn't have put him in it, right? Just out of decency, out of common decency, I wouldn't have put him in it. But that wasn't what he was all upset about. What he was upset about was that he was paying money to get a photo of those girls, and I was standing there taking photos of those girls, as far as he was concerned. And that's what he was upset about, was that I should be, I shouldn't be doing it. I should be standing in line and paying like everybody else. And that is often the case in Japan too. A lot of the things they'll tell you, dame, no. Often it's stuff like that isn't a law or a real rule. It's just the way things are done. And I mean, it's going to be huge next year at the Olympics. It's not going to be just videos and photos that's going to be the issue. It's going to be lots and lots of stuff. where Japanese people are going to be doing the cross arm thing at foreigners, and foreigners are going to say go away probably, because foreigners will have paid big money to come to Japan for a holiday and to see the Olympics, and some guy like him who's nobody, he wasn't a cop, he wasn't a security guard, he wasn't an employee of the company, he wasn't anybody. He was just another person in a public place telling me what I shouldn't do. Now, in fairness to him too, Japanese people do that to each other, and they consider it to be a thoughtful thing, right? A Japanese person would have reacted to that, and I would have reacted to that. If my Japanese family was with me and my friends, I would have gone, oh, sumimasen, oh, gomen nasai, and arigatou gozaimashita. I would have apologized and thanked him for telling me the rule. And that's the way Japanese people see a situation like that, is that guy was being kind by telling me what the manna was, what the rule was, right? And again, not really a rule, just a manner. The staff would have said, at the beginning, the staff have said to all the people there, using a megaphone, you know, no one is to take photos of the girls or take video without the girls without buying a ticket first, right? So they've told everybody what the manna is. And because at first he was telling me, you know, it's a rule, and then as you saw in English, I was getting him to say, no, it's not a rule, and it's not a law. It's just what the staff said, right? It's a manna, and usually that's enough for Japanese people. They don't need to be told it's a rule or a law or anything else. If you tell them nobody's doing that, that's enough. That's enough for most Japanese people, and usually it's enough for me, because just to maintain the harmony, and that would be my advice as a hypocrite. That would be my advice. You know, if in Japan someone does that thing to you, it's best not to argue. It really is best not to argue, because it's better just to go, yeah, all right. And really, I could have, because I already had my footage, and that's happened before. I've actually had that happen before with people saying you can't do that here, or please don't do that here. And I've gone, oh, okay, just put the camera away, and I've already got the footage already. So the myth is that filming in public in Japan is illegal, and I've had people tell me that. I'm going to tell the police. Not when I film men, incidentally. Nobody seems to give a shit when I film men. But when we do a fashion video or something, if there's women in the video, there's one recently at that pool of everybody carrying their phones around their necks, and some people lost their minds. Nobody seemed to mind the men that were in the video. They didn't seem to mind that at all. But some people lost their minds about the women. It's creepy, you shouldn't be filming it. How we can show you a video. Now, keeping in mind too, that there was 3 women with me that day, right? And it was like, oh, and they were saying, oh, there's someone, and we're getting the footage of the people with the phones around their necks. That was the story, right? The story was they had their phones around their necks and they were going swimming with their phones around their necks. That was the story. How can we show you that story without, you know, the only way that seems that wouldn't have upset anybody if we'd only shown you the men doing it for some strange reason. Showing you the women doing it was creepy and uncool and, you know, a big deal. So the myth is that it's illegal to film people in public in Japan. It's a myth, okay? The only law that applies is the civil law, except using a concealed camera to film someone without their consent, right? Now, they've brought in laws about that, and they do punish people for doing that, particularly because the deviants that were doing it. The deviant dudes that were secretly filming girls on the train, you know, putting cameras up their skirts and down their blouses and whatever else they were doing with the cameras, getting sort of secret video of the girls and up their skirts and stuff, you know, that sort of devious behaviour. So a concealed camera, using a concealed camera to do stuff like that without someone's consent is illegal, and you will get prosecuted by the police for doing that. Right? So that's the law. And again, like with most of these myths, they've sort of got a bit of the real story and mixed it with some total BS and ended up with this alternate reality that a whole heap of people seem to believe. Because we've heard that one, last 10 years we've heard that one quite a lot. You shouldn't film people in public in Japan, it's illegal. What adds to that myth is that if you watch Japanese TV, quite often they will mosaic out the faces of people and mosaic out number plates of cars. That's the other myth as well, that showing number plates of cars is illegal and it helps criminals do things. Now, we have actually let other people talk about that before as well. Tell us why. What can a criminal do with your number plate? Look at all these number plates going past. If I was a criminal, I could get all these number plates and write them all down, couldn't I? There's nothing. And so again, there's nothing illegal about showing number plates of cars. The news people do it. Sometimes they mosaic out faces and number plates to show that they have good mana, right? To show people how considerate and polite they are, right? They're not doing it because of the law, and they don't always do it. In fact, they quite often don't do it. So the night of that festival, we went home, and the local TV had it was almost like the whole festival, like 3 hours replayed that night, so people could go home and watch themselves on TV, you know. And there was nobody mosaicked out. Everyone is included, including those girls, including the girls from the idol group, right? So, you know, and that Japanese TV do that all the time. It depends on the story, right? If they're doing a story about foreigners, they will go out on the streets of Tokyo or Kyoto, and they will film foreigners. You know, as many foreigners as they can find walking down the street, and they don't mosaic anything. You know, you've got 2 or 3, you know, foreigners. They go out and they find 50 foreigners, you know, walking. There's one. Sort of like what we do when we're looking for people wearing their phones on a phone strap or something. We'll go out and look. There's one. And Japanese TV does exactly the same thing. They're doing a story about foreigners coming to Japan. Recently, they had a record number of foreigners. They've decided, they did the statistics. There's a record number of foreigners living in Japan at the moment, 2.7 million or something. So they did a story about it on TV, and so here's all the foreigners walking down the street of Tokyo or Kyoto or wherever they were. There's nobody mosaicked out. They do a story about vehicles, there's no number plates mosaicked out. The other thing they often do is they go to other countries and do stories on, you know, other countries and film everybody and bring it back and put it on TV. There's no mosaic out. If you set your setting for YouTube to Japan and watch videos made by Japanese people in Japan, there's no mosaic, usually. It's just people. It's public places. The other exception, so the exception is hidden cameras that people don't know about doing devious things. Obviously, that's naughty, right? The other one is shops and shopping centres and supermarkets and places like that. Quite often will have on the door a sign that says no cameras. So obviously that's private property. So that's different as well. That means that they've said they don't want cameras in their store. That's fair enough as well. It's still not against the law. They're just asking you, they're telling you their mana and that you should not use cameras in their shop. And that's fair enough as well, you know. But the footage we're talking about is where we stand on the street. Now keep in mind, usually, not always, sometimes another person will be holding the camera, but usually the guy that's holding the camera is 189 centimetres and 102 kilos, right? So fairly large person standing out fairly severely, because big foreigner, on the street with not a huge camera, but it is red and it is on a tripod, little tripod, standing on the street like this, filming, right? It's not hidden. It's never hidden. It's never a hidden camera. Even our old mate there at the beginning of the video, you know, that was, the camera was on a big tripod being held like that. And he's come over, and I've put it down like this, and reached down, because it was about to go in the bag, right? I was about to put it in the bag, and he's come up, so I reached down and turned it on. And when you turn it on, the lens opens. It's because it's just a cheap one, you know? The lens opens up, and the red light comes on. It's some light sensor thing. Red light comes up. So it's not a secret. It's not, here it is, holding it in the hand, right? So that's the myth part of this story. That is the myth part of this story. Oh, how it really ended. So there was another conversation that went on for, I don't know, a while. I still had time waiting for my friends. So the conversation did go on a bit longer. Pretty much the same stuff you heard in English. There was a little bit more, the thing about the mana and stuff. And then it was starting to get a bit boring. And I said, oh yeah, and then I noticed there was a guy standing like 2 meters away in a black suit with a tie, and it was Sunday, right? It was a festival, so everyone was pretty casual. And the guy standing there in a black suit with a tie, with a the string around his neck with an ID on it, right? So probably a city official of some description, because it was a city event. So probably one of the local association members or somebody standing there with his smartphone filming the girls, right? And he's 2 meters away. It was just too good. I just said to him, hey, look, you know. And he's going, oh. And because then he's in a bind, isn't he? He's just finishing telling me that I can't do it. He's got to tell that guy, right? That's a green arrow, by the way. There it is. He has to tell that guy, right? So he turns to that guy and, sumimasen, you know. And he says, sumimasen, bad, you can't take a video. And the guy goes, sumimasen, gomenasai, arigatou gozaimashita, and puts his phone away. And then as he's doing that, there was another guy a bit further away. And it's sort of, what happens here quite often is someone starts doing something, lots of people start doing it, and there was a bunch of guys standing around that hadn't paid for tickets and weren't waiting in line. And once the guy in the suit had started using his smartphone, a couple other people did too. So then this guy has to tell them all, doesn't he? So, sumimasen. And it was interesting because they all apologised and thanks for telling me, and put it away. And again, keep in mind, he's just Joe Public, right? That guy. He wasn't working there. He was just telling them the manner, right? And they were all going, thanks for telling me the manner, and putting their phones away. So anyway, it was a bit of entertainment, bit of unexpected entertainment on the day. And no bad feelings towards the guy. The conversation in Japanese was quite polite, and the way he sort of drifted away then, because what happened was he wanted to get back in line. The time was ticking down. Those girls were only there for another 20 minutes or half an hour or something, and then they just left. They disappeared. We didn't see them again. They were perhaps doing a live performance in the afternoon on stage or something, but he wanted to get his photo, so he sort of told a couple of people on his way back to the line and got back in the line. We never actually said goodbye. It was sort of like I said to him, hey, look at this, you know, and then he went and talked to those couple of people and told them, then got back in the line again. So I sort of wandered off and waited for my friends. But there was no bad feeling, you know, there was nothing aggressive about it. It was just the same as on YouTube, you know. We often get people saying you shouldn't do this or that, and they're basing their opinion on a myth that's not true. But I've never bothered to make a video about it or debate it. When people have gone on about you can't film in public in Japan, I've just let it go, and quite often that happens too, you know. With the girls' video, with the video about the idols that triggered this one, there was a couple of people who didn't like that, as expected, for different reasons. Some people don't like the video because the old man leching at young girls thing makes them feel bad, and some other people don't like the video because they don't think it's a bad thing, and they don't like us suggesting that it's old men leching at young girls. So you actually got both sides of the fence get pissed off at the video. One group because they think that what the old guys and what's going on there is not a good thing, and the other group are pissed off because they think what's going on there is a good thing, and they don't like the negative spin that we sometimes put on it. Because, you know, look, just clarify really quickly, it's not the point of this video, but you know, leching at Japanese girls, the young Japanese girls that we know are our family members and friends, right? So we sort of take it a bit personally when people lech at young Japanese girls. We do tend to take a little bit personally because the young girls in our lives are our family members and our friends. So that's why. We just lost our front camera, guys, as we're getting to the end of this video. So yeah, that's why. So now you've suddenly got a big picture of me, haven't you? Oh no. But that's why, guys. That's why when there's stuff like that, and we think girls are being used, or you know, something's not good about the way young girls are being treated. That's why we tend to take that stance. Is because we don't see the young Japanese girls as being, you know, sexy things. We see them as being our family members, and we sort of, you know, react to it accordingly. So that's why. Again, like with all our videos, we're not really about saying whether something's good or bad. We're about showing it to you. But now and again, if a topic is like that, maybe our own thoughts on the topic might slip out a little bit. You know, it's hard to avoid that happening sometimes. But the main idea of the video is to show it to you guys and let you formulate your own ideas on it, because that's what we do. We show you as much as we can about Japan, good and bad or indifferent. It doesn't matter to us. We just show you what we see. So anyway, another one from this playlist. Don't do that, by the way. You know, if someone tells you the no thing, it's better not to do it. Really, that would have been better, just to put the camera away and go, oh, thanks for letting me know, thank you very much, and walk away. But it was just, the timing was just perfect, just to stand there and let him do it, because, you know, it was entertaining. For at least one person anyway. Don't know about you guys, but this one found it entertaining. Anyway, there it was. More videos coming soon.